All right, let's dive right into one of the most mind-bending corners of neuroscience. We're going to tackle a huge question. Who is really pulling the strings inside your own head? And it all kicks off with a simple but really unsettling idea.
Okay, so just picture this. You see a book you want to read. Your left hand reaches out to grab it. Seems pretty normal, right? Simple enough?
But then, just as your fingers are about to grab it, your other hand, your right hand, shoots out and tries to slam the book closed. I mean, your own two hands are literally fighting each other.
So, who's in charge here? You? Well, for some people, this isn't just some weird thought experiment. It's their actual reality. And the answer to that question reveals something absolutely astonishing about who we think we are.
To really get what's going on, we first have to talk about a condition that sounds like it's straight out of a horror movie: alien hand syndrome.
Get this. This is a real quote from a patient. Her right hand lit up a cigarette and put it to her lips, but her left hand, which she actually called he, grabbed the cigarette and just threw it away. It's like her hand had its own agenda, its own mind.
So that's alien hand syndrome. It's this incredibly rare disorder where your own arm or hand starts doing complex things all by itself, completely without your permission. And yeah, if it sounds familiar, it's sometimes called Dr. Strangelove syndrome, from that old movie where the guy can't control his own arm.
So you have to be wondering, how on earth does something like this even happen? Well, the answer is kind of shocking. It all starts with a really drastic medical procedure that literally cuts the brain in half.
So let's go back to the 1940s. Doctors were desperate for a way to help people with these awful, life-destroying seizures. And they landed on a wild idea. What if we sever the corpus callosum? That's the thick bundle of nerves, kind of like a massive fiber optic cable that lets the brain's two halves talk to each other. The hope was it would stop a seizure from spreading. And it worked. But it also created something totally new: a split brain. Now here's where it gets really weird. You'd think that cutting the main communication line in the brain would cause some, major changes. But in their day-to-day lives, these patients seemed completely normal. Their families said they were the same person. This apparent normality was hiding something incredible.
And that puzzle, that how can they be normal question, is exactly what got scientists like Roger Sperry and Michael Gazzaniga so interested. They realized they had to design some clever experiments to try and talk to each half of the brain separately. And what they found was, well, it was like finding two minds in one body.
So here's a quick refresher on how your brain is set up. For most of us, your left hemisphere controls the right side of your body, and crucially, it's the one that handles language. It's the talker. The right hemisphere controls the left side. It's great with patterns and space, but it can't speak. It's basically silent. Normally, these two are chatting non-stop. But in a split brain, total radio silence.
So Gazzaniga sets up this brilliant experiment. He flashes the word pan on a screen, but he does it in a way that only the patient's right hemisphere, the silent partner, can see it. Then he asks the patient, "What did you see?" And since the question goes to the talking left hemisphere, which literally saw nothing, the patient just says, "I didn't see anything." It seems like the information just disappeared.
But here comes the genius move. Gazzaniga then says, "Okay, well, how about you draw what you saw with your left hand?" Remember, the left hand is controlled by that silent right brain, the one that did see the word. So, what do you think he draws?
He draws a pan. Just like that. The right brain knew the answer the entire time. It just didn't have a mouth to say it. It had its own awareness, its own pocket of knowledge, completely separate from the part of the brain that we think of as us.
This is what led the great neurobiologist Roger Sperry to his absolutely mind-blowing conclusion. These patients essentially have two separate streams of consciousness running in parallel inside their head. Two minds, one body. So hold on a second. If there are two minds, why do we feel like one person? How is it that we experience a single, unified life? Well, this brings us to maybe the most fascinating part of this whole story: the brain's built-in storyteller. Gazzaniga came up with this idea he called the left hemisphere interpreter. It's this system in our talking left brain, whose job is to watch everything we do, even the stuff driven by the silent right brain, and instantly cook up a plausible story for why we did it. It's our brain's press secretary, and its only job is to create a coherent story, even if it has to invent one. The absolute best demonstration of this is another classic experiment.
A split-brain patient sees two images at once. His left brain sees a chicken claw. His right brain sees a snowy winter scene. He's asked to point to related pictures. His right hand, guided by the left brain, points to a chicken. Makes sense. His left hand, guided by the right brain, points to a shovel. Also makes sense for cleaning snow. So far, so good.
But then, here's the kicker. The scientist asked the patient, "Why did you point to the shovel?" Now remember, the talking left brain never saw the snow scene. It only saw the chicken claw. So it has no earthly idea why the left hand chose a shovel.
And without even a pause, the patient just says this. His left brain interpreter instantly made up a completely logical but totally false story to connect the chicken it knew about with the shovel action it couldn't explain. That just confabulated a reason to make it all make sense.
And this is where it all comes home. Because that little storyteller, that interpreter, it's not just in split-brain patients. Every single one of us has one working 24/7 inside our heads.
Think about this famous study. People were shown 4 pairs of nylon stockings, all identical, and asked to pick the one with the best quality. The vast majority of people picked the pair on the far right. It's just a weird psychological quirk called the position effect. But when you ask them why they picked it, oh, they've got reasons. The knit feels superior. I like the sheen on this one. Not a single person said, I don't know, it's just on the end. Their interpreter just invented a rational reason for a non-rational choice, and they totally believed it.
The social psychologist Jonathan Haidt put it perfectly with this analogy. We all like to think our conscious mind is the president in the Oval Office, making all the big decisions. But a lot of the time, it's actually just the press secretary, who has to go out to the podium and explain the decisions that other non-conscious parts of the brain have already made. Which really leaves us with a pretty profound and maybe a little unsettling final question. The next time you explain why you did something, why you bought that car, why you believe what you believe, ask yourself, are you explaining the real reason? Are you the decider? Or are you just the interpreter, telling a good story?